Switch 2, right? Switch 2 had a lot of people holding their reviews. I don't know if y'all seen this or not or heard of this, but there was a lot of people that were basically not allowed. I think they were embargoed. I didn't hear the exact term embargo, but that's what that means when you can't release the review on the system quite yet because you are barred from doing so. I mean, you could still do it, but you're gonna get sued. So that's the other thing. So here's the thing. What I heard is that basically up yesterday or the day before, I think it was yesterday, man, that IGN finally dropped their Switch 2 review. What a coincidence. In that 4-day span of no reviews being posted, the Switch 2 has amassed so many sales that it has been the fastest selling Switch or Nintendo device, period, in history. So a lot of people feasted with this consumerism, went out and got that Switch 2. And if you got it, bro, don't think I'm bashing. I'm not bashing anybody. It just wasn't for me because of the day one actual new Switch game that they have. Everything else that I looked at the day one list, and if you look it up, you'll see that it's not really anything to write home about as far as the list. They had Cyberpunk you could play on there. I wouldn't do it. The hardware is just not powerful enough. I was watching Digital Foundry, and I seen a lot of those games being run and tested by Digital Foundry. And if you know anything about Digital Foundry, they actually end up really testing these games rigorously so that you can understand how these frame rates impact the way that your experience is when you're playing the game. So what they basically were saying is that it is locked at a specific frame rate, but if you look at it, and they said they needed to do further testing on those games, it just something's off on it because it looks like it is um degraded in some way, but when he's locked and when he's looking at the frame rate, it's locked. So it is dipping a little bit, but very little. But the image, there was some image stutter. He didn't really call it out. Riddick is tearing right now. My gosh. Goodness gracious, Riddick is tearing. But look, back to the Switch 2. I just wanted to bring that up because they ended up having a lot of uh a lot of reviews come out these last day or so. I feel like it was yesterday. And with that being said, the actual consensus from the companies is that it was from the review companies specifically was that the Switch 2 was an excellent type of system. And I did that on purpose, guys. I just wanted to kind of have them get some more sacks. I think I got to get some sacks for my my week 2 experience. So let's just get another one. There we go. There we go. All right. But anyway, back on topic, man. Switch 2. I felt like they were doing a little meat riding at IGN on the Switch 2. They really gave them a pass on that review. And I just wanted to talk about some things that they really omitted in their review. They didn't hash over the fact that Mario Kart World's open world is vastly underserved and has very little um, meat and potatoes in the inside of the open world when you're driving around it. What I mean by that is that it is very bare. It is a very bare world in there. There's the little peas that you could pop the pea from Mario and open up these bouncy elephant sections and fly through hoop sections, things where you get, cool unlockables and things like that. That's awesome. But there are mechanisms within the game in which they gave that game. I just want to tell you what they gave it. Spoilers if you want to fast forward maybe about 10 seconds if you don't want to see what IGN gave the game. But if you want to hear it, here it is. They gave the game an 8. Oh, they gave the Mario Kart World an 8 out of 10. Now, I disagree with that because it is not finished, and they even said that it is worse than Mario Kart Deluxe 8 Deluxe. So what that really means is that Mario Kart 8 Deluxe is a better game than that game right now because of some of the updates that are required for that game to be better than Mario Kart 8 Deluxe. So with that being said, it's kind of like what we kind of always figured. They come out with the systems, they come out with the games, they are half completed, they are half done, and they still sell them to you anyway in hopes that you go ahead and you buy it and hope for an update. And then 2 years later, when you don't care what the game is even doing anymore, you are now all of a sudden supposed to go back to this game like it's the second coming of the ability for you to actually play it and have fun. So I'm just like, in my opinion, you have to understand that these are money generators in some way, and that's the way games are. They take so long to, and I'll give them a break with this statement. It does take longer. I'm going to give two sides to this. So this is a double-edged sword what I'm about to say. It does take a little longer to develop games and get them as polished as they need to be for people to really latch onto them and think they're a AAA title. Mind's Eye is having that type of situation right now where they're having a lot of bugs. They pushed the game out too early. They needed to get it out in front of people to make sure people understood that it was real. And then what happens is that they rush out their product and they poo-poo all over their own name. So then you don't even understand how these people have sunk their stock with this bold move of releasing an unfinished game when you don't even have a name yet. And that's the confusion that I don't understand. Like, you don't have a name for your studio when in relation to this game. It is a new IP is what I mean. And then you come out with it unfinished on some cyberpunk stuff so that you can just get sales initially. And bro, you're running your studios into the ground doing this stuff, and I hope they know that. But back to the Switch 2, when they're giving these things reviews, it just seems like they were kind of meat riding it and all of that good stuff. And all the regular YouTubers like me and some of the other guys, I won't shout any of them out. They don't really shout me out, so we won't shout anyone out. But I do watch YouTube, and I consume content to a very low degree just to try to, have my own particular thought process when I come onto YouTube. And I give my thought process. I think that when it comes to the Switch 2, it is for a unique group of people. That unique group of people are people who are die-hard Nintendo fans who love Nintendo, and people who have children who are going to really get and hammer home the cost value proposition that is basically, is it worth this $500 basically for a couple of games and the system? And if you have a child or something like that, I would say yes. If you are a die-hard Switch 2 player and you're playing it nonstop and you're out on the go and you're going to play this all the time, yes, get it. But if you are a casual, there's not enough games in that thing to warrant you buying that system when you can go get a new PlayStation, have a smorgasbord of games, or buy a new Xbox Series X, which pretty much all games are kind of, there's no real exclusives lately at all. Even Final Fantasy is going to Xbox, man. So you got to understand, like, gaming is changing. I think Xbox has lost the war of the console generation. So they have caved in and they have sold a lot of their intellectual properties um to be on multi-platform. So, and that's cool. It gives everybody access to games and everything like that. For the people who really was dying on the Xbox hills though, it's really bad. because they are not, they have no real individualism in that system. There's no uniqueness with that system as of right now. There are going to be games that are coming out, but and see, and T Jones, that's a perfect point. That's why I'm not mad at GTA 6, is what T Jones said, for pushing back the date. Me, I could care less if they push back the date. Don't deliver me no piece of garbage on content delivery day when we're all hyped for this game that took you 20 years to come out with because you were milking GTA 5 down to the teat. I'm telling you, my boy, like they literally milked that down to cream, boy. I ain't even gonna lie to you, man. They milked that GTA 5. They're still milking that. I could have sworn that I just seen a trailer for some new content in GTA 5 right now. But yeah, man. I feel like the major corporations aren't being that genuine with their reviews, like IGN and some of the other people that I've watched there, and I'll put BTA. I'll say their name when I remember who they were. I don't want to call anybody out unjustly, but I do remember IGN's was a little soft on them when they didn't really come out with many games and everything like that. I said they should have came out with Splatoon. And then they came out with the trailer like 2 days after the announcement. It just seemed very stupid. I don't know. Am I wrong for saying that? I felt like that was really stupid that they came out with Splatoon on its own little thing when they could have came out with that prior. Maybe the trailer wasn't working, it wasn't ready. Maybe the game's not really ready like that, so they had to build a little trailer of what they had. But it should have came out when everybody was getting ready to buy their Switch because that's the one game that I actually loved on Switch when it first released was Splatoon because you were able to squid ink things and shoot people with the squid ink and pop in and out of the ground, and the mechanisms within that game were really fire, and the art style was really dope, and the graphics were pretty tight for Switch. So I don't know, I used to have a blast on Splatoon, bro. I ain't even gonna sit here and cap like I didn't play that game. Come on, Brody, I was playing that. But yeah, man, that's my Switch 2 rant. If you like the system, go ahead, buy it. If you don't like it, or you feel like you're not getting your cost value out of that situation, then just don't buy it. And it's really that simple, man. I'm probably gonna get it when Donkey Kong comes out, so I'll just wait. I'm a Donkey Kong fan. That game looked incredible when they did it. I don't know why that's not out with the system. They should have dropped at least two games that were brand new that came out for that system. But, like you said, everyone's holding the games and they're holding on to them so that they don't actually, you know, put out a product that is not good, which I can actually get behind. But I will say this as well. We just got to make sure that we hire enough people and enough team members to go ahead and get that done the right way. And everyone, including game studios in the game industry, is laying everybody off, but they are not increasing any of the workers who's left pay. So it's very a weird conundrum that they want to lay off all the people who are creating the games, and the people that are left, they're really not getting a pay increase, and we're waiting longer for the games so that the execs can have more money really in their pockets for a game, for working those people. It's a really deep-seated thing going on, man. Huge Donkey Kong fan, man. Yeah, me too, bro. That is a really fun game. Donkey Kong getting shot out of the barrels, like. And honestly, I'm a huge Zelda fan. Like, I just didn't like how the new Tears of the Kingdom looked like just like the first one. I thought maybe it would have been enhanced in some way. It just kind of looked like the first one. They should have just waited until the Switch 2 came out and then released it with brand new, fresh graphics and new build. But I can't tell them how to run their company. They wanted to print some money and they did that. So, yes, sir.